Hello YouTubers, welcome to part 1 of making bow and arrow controller in Godot. Before we begin, let's quickly go over what this video will cover and what you will have achieved by the end. We will almost finish the setup of our character with animations and also bow with rig and its animations. Now let's talk about table of contents. So first we'll download all the required animations from Mixamo. Then we will set up root motion for those animations that we just downloaded. After that we will rig the bow and try to animate it. And once the animation has been finished, we will export all the assets so that we can import it in Godot. Now, the prerequisites for this video are basic familiarity with Blender and simple animations, and the requirement is moderate. And then the second requirement is understanding what root motion is and why it's used. So again, this is moderate, so it's better to know both of these prerequisites. So now let's go on previous recap. In the last video, I explained the series outline and how the lessons will progress, so you know what exactly to expect from a video. And if you didn't watch the video, then please do it before going further. So now that's everything set. Let's jump in and start downloading assets. So open up your favorite web browser and search for Mixamo and click on the mixamo.com site. And once it's open, let's download our character. So we will search for Archer character and let's download this Erika Archer. So once you select here, you will see that your main character is swapped with the Archer, and let's click on download. So the format will be FBX, the pose will be T-pose, and then click on download. Now you can create a folder where you can easily access all these animations, and then in my case I'll be saving it in downloads in the Archer folder. Then click on save. So now let's download animations. So for animations, again in the animation section, search for Archer, and here we will be downloading this Pro Long Bow pack of 39 animations. So let's select this one and let's download this. Again in the format it will be FBX, the pose is gonna be T-pose, frames per second will be 30, keyframes will be none, then click on download. Alright, so now this animation bow pack doesn't have all the animations that we need. Like we need to download a few animations manually. So let's start by downloading them. So we will search for standing aim idle, and okay, before that I think we got this one, fall a loop. So let's click on this and let's click on download. Okay, I think I just downloaded it with skin, but we need to download it without skin, so make sure you set it as without skin, then click on download. Now let's search for fall to land, and you can either select any of the animations like from falling to land, and in my case I'll just download this one. Alright, so you can just select from like 1, 2, 3 or even 4, any of one. It really depends on what you like or what you don't. Now let's search for standing aim idle, and we need to download this animation. Yes, this animation doesn't come with the pack, so we need to download it manually. Alright, so the next one is like falling in air without bow. So let's search for fall, and or else let's search for in air, and you will select this floating. And in these animations we can actually tweak few of the options over here, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so once you are happy with the tweaking, so in my case, like the posture value is 56, the lean value is 70, the movement range is 73, and rest others are untouched. So once you are happy with the animation, just click on download and again click on download. Next, we also need from falling to land, so we'll be selecting any of the animations, and I think this is good. And let's even download this. Okay, so the last two animations that we need are walk and run animations. So basically this will be without bow, and I think this is good. So let's click on download, and the last one is gonna be run. So let's see this. Okay, I think this is good. So let's download this. So once you have all the animations downloaded, now if you remember that, then we also have downloaded a pack, so we need to extract this pack over here. So let's click on extract here, and we have a problem. What does that say? So it says like, would you like to replace the existing one? And nope, nope, and yes, it's been extracted. All right, so now let's open up Blender. So while recording this video, I am using Blender version 4.3.2, and just a quick note that whatever key I press on my keyboard and mouse will be visible at this corner section, so you can see like that. So if I just forget to tell any shortcut, then you can just watch this section to grab it up. Alright, so now we need to install an add-on, and you may ask why we need an add-on, and that's because if we go up to Mixamo, then we can see all the animations are actually moving out from its original position, and we need to add root motion on these animations. So root motion will help us to make realistic movement character rather than the dummy sliding over a ground. So to have a character root motion, we need to download the add-on. So if you go to this site, that's basically from find.cgi. So in this repo, we'll be downloading this add-on. So click on code, then click on download zip, and we will be downloading this zip in the same folder. Then click on save. Okay, so once it's been downloaded, go to Blender, then press edit, then click on preferences. The shortcut key is Ctrl Alt U, and here we need to install the add-on. So to install an add-on, you can just click on this icon and click on install from disk, then browse the folder where you have downloaded the add-on. So in my case, it's in this archive, and the add-on name was Mixamo root. Then click on install from disk. So once you have installed, you can see you'll have an add-on name with a check mark. Alright, so now this means that the add-on has been installed, and now let's select everything from our scene, then delete, then click on delete. So now let's open up the add-on and let's browse the directory where we have installed all the animations as well as the character. So it's in the archer, then click on accept, and make sure you click on this insert route, then click on import animations. So this process might take 1 to 2 minutes depending upon your computer, because it's trying to import all those animations at once, so that's the reason it may freeze for a second. Alright, now you can see all the animations has been imported, but along with the main animations we see all the other bones as well. So what you can do is you can just select from the left click, then click on G. Pressing the G makes sure that you haven't selected your main character model. So again right click, then let's delete all these, and we'll repeat the same process. till we delete all the other animations. And yeah, now you can see we have deleted all the animations, I mean the bones that contained the animations. And yes, so we just have the main bone with our archer selected. Now if we open up the dope sheet in the actions editor, we can see we have all the animations that our character plays. And you can see we have a root bone with the root motion applied on it. And yes, you can see it was really easy to set up root motion on any Mixamo animations. Alright, now let's quickly export the complete scene. So let's go to file, click on export, then select the GLTF format. And now you can export this for temporary, or else if you have created your Godot project, then you can export this over there. But for my scene, I haven't created a Godot project yet, so let's temporarily export it somewhere in the same folder of Archer. Let's rename it with Archer Animation, then click on export. This might take again few seconds because Blender is compressing all the animations into a single character and then exporting it. So yes, just have patience. So that's it for setting up root motion on our character. Now it's time to set up our bow. So now I have opened up another Blender scene, and here we will be setting up our complete bow. So if you're watching this video till now, then you should have already modeled your bow. But if you haven't modeled like me, I just have a default cube. Then let's go to Mixamo and grab some assets. So let's open up the browser and the same Mixamo tab. Here let's select, I think we can just cancel the run animation, and let's select T-pose animation. And in the characters, if you remember, then we also had one more archer with bow. So we'll be using this bow to set up our bow model. Alright, so let's select the archer with bow, and you can see we have the bow model here. So let's download this. This time make sure the skin is with skin, then click on download. The file name will be setting it as bow and arrow, then click on save. Let's open up Blender and let's delete all the default stuff. Then let's go to file, import fbx, then let's select the folder where we downloaded it, and let's search for bow and arrow, then click on import fbx. And now you can see that our model has been imported. Let's select the bow model, then click on Alt P, clear parent. Okay, I think it just vanished, so let's undo it. Alt P, clear parent, and keep transformation. Then Control I to inverse the selection, and let's delete all this except our bow. And let's set the origin to volume, then cursor to world origin, then selection to the cursor, and let's rotate it properly. Alright, so now we have just cleared the rotation. You can see it's properly aligning. So now we have our bow model, and let's quickly rig this. So now let's start rigging our bow. So the reference that I used was from this video, so make sure you give a like on that. And let's start by adding an armature and a single bone. So the bone is facing upward, so let's rotate it 90 degrees in the x-axis, and let's go to edit mode. Let's place the bow somewhere over here, and let's also make sure that the tip is at this, I mean the lower tip is at this point, and the upper tip is somewhere over here. Alright, so the wireframe by pressing Z helps us to see through the mesh, and it also helps us, to see the faces, the vertices of a mesh. Alright, So let's extrude our bone, something like this. And I am not expert at rigging, so I'll be just quickly adding each bone at each of the segments of our bow. You can add any number of bones as you wish, but the less bones will make your mesh deform very odd, and also if you add a lot of bones, then that's very bad at optimization. Also, you can duplicate the same stuff on both the ends, but I'm just creating it manually, both up and lower side. So once you have finished creating bones for the wooden part, let's add a bone for our string too. So just click on the point where you want to add the bone, then press Shift A to add a bone. Alright, so this is gonna be our string bone, and these bones will be for our wooden part. So now let's quickly set our mesh to deform along with these bones, but before that, make sure your bones are properly aligned with the mesh. So I mean, like, the bones should be at the center of the mesh. So you just saw that these bones are above the mesh, so that's not a good sign. So just always make sure it's always at the center of your mesh. And I think the string bow is below this, so let's quickly fix it. Yeah, so now let's select the bow mesh, and if you have modeled your bow mesh, then just make sure that you know to add a loop cut over here. So let's just quickly hide our bones, and uh, just make sure you add a loop cut over here, so something like this. So whenever you try to grab your string, it should have a loop cut, so it actually bends like a real string. So if you don't add a loop cut, and if it's single, then the string bone is not gonna work. Alright, so now let's unhide all the bones, and let's select the mesh, and then click Shift select the bone, Control P, then click on automatic weight. So this automatic weight helps us to parent the mesh with the bones. So now if you select your bones, you go to pose mode, and if you grab any of your bone, you can see the mesh is deforming along with these bones. So now you can actually pull the string, but again here comes an issue. So whenever you try to pull a string, you can see there is no tension created at this part, I mean at this part. So it's something like whenever you try to pull a string, the complete bow is not moving at all. So we need to create that tension. So let's now go to edit mode, and let's add a bone. So this will be the root bone. So for an instance that whenever you try to move this bone, the complete bow will be moved along with this bone. So this is going to be the main bone. So to set it as main bone, select the top and the lower bones, then shift select your string, then shift select at last the main bone, press Ctrl P. I think you should do it in the edit mode. Ctrl P, then click on keep offset. So now if you go to pose mode, you can see this, we have just created a main bone, and now let's start creating the stretch effect. So to create a stretch effect, go to edit mode, select the tip bone of the bow, so both the lower and the upper tip, and press E to extrude, and extrude two bones facing in the string direction. Then select both of the bones, Alt P, then clear parent. So these bones are now independent, and then go to pose mode. So now we will start adding the constraints. So the constraints will help us to add the stretch effect. So for that, select the top bone, add a limit distance constraint, select the target as the armature, then the bow as this bone 30. But before that, we need to actually rename this bow. So we need to rename the bone. So to rename the bone, select any bone, go to this bone section, and let's rename the bow as string, and let's also rename this bone as root. So make sure you rename both of these bones. Rest other bones are optional, but these bones are for sure to rename. Alright, let's again select the main bone. Let's go to the constraint section and let's select the string bone. We'll do the same thing for the lower bone. Add a limit distance, target as our armature, bow as the string bone. And now if we move, you can see that both the upper and the lower green bones are moving, trying to move along with the string. So this will help us to create the tension for our wooden part. So now let's select the tip bone of our wooden part, not this bone, the tip bone of our wooden part, and let's add a inverse kinematics, and the target will be the armature, the bone is gonna be the top bone, and change the chain length as 15. So I have like 15 bones, so I want the tension should create from at this point, so that's why the chain length is 15. But if you have more or less bones, your chain length may vary. So the inverse kinematics actually help us to create the tension. And let's do the same thing for the lower bone. The target is going to be the armature, bone is going to be this bone, and let's change the chain length to 15, so it's pointing at this. And now if we try to grab, you can see the tension has started to create, like this part actually bends as we pull the string back. So this looks something realistic. So that's it for the rigging part. Now let's create animations for our bow. So now we need to create 3 animations for our bow, I mean 4. So let's select dope sheet and let's select action editor. And if you see any actions over here like this armature, so this animation was the T-pose that we had. So we can just select the animation and let's delete everything, and we can just name this one as rest. So this will be the rest animation of our complete bow. Let's select all the bones, press I to animate it. Alright, now let's create one more animation. So by pressing this new action, and let's rename it as draw. Let's open up this animation, so this blend file. So in this section, let's also go to dope sheet and action editor, and here we need to select the draw arrow, and the length of this is like 30 frames. So let's go to frame 30 and let's pull this string back somewhere like this. This is fine. So let's select all the bones and press I. So now if we see the animation, you can see that we have this pull string animation, set it up, but this will does not match the animation of this, because the string that we start to pull is from here, so from the 25th frame. So if you go to the frame 25, you can see that it already started to play the pull string animation. So to stop that, we just need to select the 0th keyframe, shift D, and place it at the frame 25. So now you can see, or we can start from the frame 24. That doesn't matter. The only matters is the timing or the frames that we have. Alright, so this was the draw, and now let's create one more and let's rename it as release, and let's select all the keyframes X, and then let's delete. Now let's select all the bones and shift R, shift G, shift S. So if we have modified any of the bones, then all the bones will be gone back to its original position. And let's see the draw arrow, not draw arrow, it's release or recoil. Yes, the name was recoil, and it's of 21 frames. So let's go to 21st frame and select all these bones, press I, and I think we just made a mistake. And what's that? So here the mistake was like we actually need this end keyframe for our release. So let's quickly select the other keyframes and delete, and we will just move our main keyframe over here. And let's go to frame 21, press Alt R G S, to reset all these rotations, movement and scale. Now let's press I. Okay, and for this like the release is at actually the 6th frame. From the 6th frame, so we need to duplicate it till the 6th frame, or else you can also make it as the string to somewhat like this. So it's going back, it's not going back because we didn't keyframe. So something like this, then I, so it goes backward, and boom, at the 7th frame it's released. So at the 8th frame we can just reset it, and let's also create a bouncy effect. Something like this. So as soon as we release, there is this bounce effect, so you can see. So the bounce effect is basically like making the string go inward. So the original position was here, so we just make it as go inward, then again go outward from the original position, and then it should go at the original position. So something like this. Okay, so that's it for this release. So the animation of release is 21 frames, so make sure it matches. And the last animation that we need to create is overdraw. So let's create new action, let's call it as overdraw, and let's see how many frames this has. And yes, it has quite of frames. So the frame ends at 112. So let's grab the last keyframe, that's basically the rest pose, and let's place it at 112. Okay, and the other data that we need is like from this pose the pull has started from 24, even though this is a less pull, or you can just say the pull has started from 13th frame. So let's delete this stuff, and the pull has started from 13th frame. So let's select all the bones. Okay, so as you saw, like I just deleted the keyframes of this, and the rest bones keyframe were still intact. So make sure you select all the bones and then you try to delete, otherwise you may get some glitches, so that a keyframe of some bones will not be deleted, and you'll just delete keyframes of other bones, and then when you play the animations, the keyframes of those bones will be playing along with your deleted keyframes, and that's gonna mess. So make sure you delete all the keyframes. So now till the 13th frame there is no pull, and after that there is pullback till the 112th frame. All right. Okay, so till the 112th frame, let's pull our string to something more. So yes, so again, as I said that I just keyframed this string and the rest were not keyframed, so that's why we get the issue. So let's go to 112 and let's pull this up and let's add a keyframe. Okay, but the animation is something easing in, so from here to here the animation is sudden, and then from here to here it goes kind of slow till 96th frame. So till the 96th frame, yes, okay, that's it for the overdraw. So now we have 3 animations. So let's say the draw, then we have this overdraw, we also have this release, and the last one is rest. So that's basically not doing anything. I just forgot to keyframe this 96th frame by pressing I. So what I exactly need is, like, from here to here I don't want the animation to change, and from the 13th frame to 96th frame the string should pull at the larger animation speed, and this speed I want, like this part I want it to be slower, but as you can see I just forgot to keyframe, so there is no change. So let's go to 96th frame, select the armature, make sure you select the string bone, and let's grab it somewhat inward, then press I. So this has a small movement, but this has a larger movement. Alright, so now let's start to bake the animations. And you may ask, like, hey, we just created a cool looking animation, and why we need to bake the animations? So the answer is, like, if you remember, then we just added constraints on these top bones, like we just added limit to distance on these top bones. We also added the inverse kinematics constraint on these tip bones of our wooden part. So these constraints are only present in Blender, and these constraints are not available in Godot. So whenever you try to export your complete bow with animations, these constraints will be erased in Godot, so you'll only have the string part, and the stretch of this wooden part will not be present. So again, that will look funky. It will be similar, like you cancel these constraints. So in Godot you'll only have this animation of stretching string, you will not have this animation of wooden part. So to have the animation of wooden part 2, we need to bake the actions. So baking is only required if you have added any constraints, and if you haven't added any constraints, then no need to bake. Alright, so to bake the complete animation, select all the bones, then you can go to pose, and in animations you can click on bake actions, or else just press the spacebar and search for bake action and select the bake action. So end frame is how long we want the animation. So in our case the overdraw is of 1112 frames, so the end frame will be 1112. And make sure you check this visual keying, and also select this overwrite current action, the bake data, let it be pose, and then click on OK. So now our current pose has been baked. So we will do the same thing for all the other animations. So let's select draw, and the draw animation is of 30 frames. So let's bake action of 30 frames, and the rest of the options are same. Then click on OK. We will do the same thing for release. So it's of 21 frames. Select all the bones, bake action, and the end frame to be 30. Click on OK. And let's go to rest. Even we'll bake this action. The end frame, let it be 1. Click on OK. Alright, so now you can cancel these constraints for any of the bones, and if you select any other animation, you can see that even though the constraint is gone, but still the pose of our bow is still intact. So you can see like there is a stretch of these bones in any of the animations. Alright, so now let's start creating the arrow. It's better that you have some good reference for creating an arrow, and I'll be just creating a quick dummy arrow for this video. Alright, so let's start by adding a cylinder, or let's add a cube. Scale it down, scale in x-axis, scale again down. Alright, so let's hide these bones so that we can have focus on our arrow part, and let's try to add a cube again. Let's scale it down, let's also scale it in z-axis, and let's go to edit mode, select these vertices, and let's scale it down, maybe 0. Okay, let's select these both, scale somewhat like this, and let's add again a box. Alright, let's now select all these parts and press Ctrl J to join them and have a single arrow. So now we need to have the origin of the bow at this point, so that whenever we try to draw or do any stuff, the origin will be at this point. So let's go to edit mode, select all the vertices, and let's scale it over here. So now whenever we try to rotate, the origin is at this point. Even the scaling will be from this point, so make sure you set the origin at here. Great, now let's unhide all our bones, and let's go to this overstretch mode to see if our arrow actually fits this, and we need to place our arrow tip somewhat front. So the max pose is going to be this one, so this will be the max length of our arrow. We don't want the arrow to be smaller or bigger than this. Great, now let's quickly export both our arrow as well as the bow, and let's make the arrow facing upward direction. So select the armature, then select the bow, and then go to file, export GLTF. We will export the bow model at the same file location where we exported our temporary character model, and let's name it as bow.gltf, and then make sure in the include section you select this selected objects, then click on export. We will do the same thing for the arrow. So let's select the arrow, go to file, export, then gltf, and this time let's name this one as arrow, and in the include section make sure again the selected object is turned on, then click on export. That's it for the video. So now let's see what all progress we did in this part. So first we downloaded the Archer character model and its animations. Then we set up root motion inside Blender using an add-on. So then we rigged and animated our bow to match our Mixamo animations of the player. Then we baked the animations and exported all our assets. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit like, drop a comment, and also subscribe for more future content. And if you'd like to go with an extra mile in supporting me, then you can just grab the potato card membership on my itch.io for just $1. Every bit of this support really helps me for keep me creating more stuff and improving for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.